It's Thursday, July 18th, and you're listening to the Geek at Geek News Central, the longest continuous running tech podcast. This is show number 875, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Our July GoDaddy special, customers get 32% off their order at GoDaddy.com using the promo code GO32OFF1. Or at Geek.com for just $2.49. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. We've got a great show lined up for you. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphones.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right. I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to Geek News Central, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii via the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Honolulu. Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Of course, my name is Todd Cockrell. I'm glad you're here. And a little bright in the studio tonight. Basically got everything ready to rock and roll for the show, and doing show prep and turn the gear up and really wasn't paying attention to too much. But about 5 minutes before showtime, I looked over at the monitor. I'm like, it looks a little bright in here. And looking at the lights, there was some furniture being moved in the studio today, and I think one of the lights got tacked just a little bit. So I made a quick adjustment for whatever I could. But if I look bright, it's just because it's bright in here and the lights aren't quite right. But hey, those of you that are listening, you could care less, right? I want to give you guys a warm welcome. Of course, all of you that are longtime listeners or viewers of the show, thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the Ohana, or being part of the extended family here. Of course, it's a beautiful night here in Honolulu. We got trades. It's about 10 to 15. The side window in the studio is open. It's absolutely just fantastic. The perfect weather here in Hawaii as normal. If you'll notice on the back of the studio here, there's a couple of new graphics on the Ohanasaurus. And if I can see if I can tag that up. My good friend Sam Garcia out in Albuquerque put together some new graphics for the Ohanasaurus. And you can see now that Ohanasaurus is wearing glass. So I thought that was pretty slick. And if you notice, he's on Mars. You look at the bottom of the image, the second part, you can see the rover back there in the background. And so very nice. And I tell you, it's nice Sam does this for me from time to time. Of course, we're running a little bit of a contest right now on the lower thirds, and Sam submitted his entry as well. We're going to allow that contest to go on until Monday, and then we'll pick a winner. Have gotten a couple of entries, so I'll be looking at these closely, seeing which one I like. But one of these lower thirds will make the final cut. It's not one that's on the screen because I didn't have time to bring in candidate number 1 and 2, but definitely going to continue this contest. Hey, let's just go ahead and take here a second. Of course, if you're brand new to the show, really what you got to do is you got to really get over to geeknewscentral.com. You got to go over to the website and really get connected with our writers, with all the additional content on the website. And Langley put up a robot underpants. There's a new Gadget Professor. There's going to be a new show or new episode in the new media feed tonight. We'll talk about that here in a second as well. But lots of great content up there. And I tell you, we want you to get subscribed to the podcast. It's real easy to do. There's links there, second column on the website, either via iTunes or via your favorite podcatcher. We're on just about every device, every piece of glass known to man. And definitely you can watch us on your Roku, Boxy, Samsung Smart TV, Google TV as well on the Tech Podcast channel on those devices. So we want to thank everyone for being here. And, of course, you can reach out to me really anytime. It's a piece of cake. All you can do is reach out on Twitter @GeekNews, or you can email me here at geeknews@gmail.com. And you can call the hotline at 619-342-7365. So we're up and running here and ready to walk through the show. But before we do so, we're up on YouTube tonight is where we're streaming live. Last show seemed to go pretty good. Quality turned out fine. I had some positive comments from the folks that were basically had watched the stream and came back and made some comments. We're really pushing at the lower end of the required bandwidth amount to be at 720p. So if the bandwidth and the connection holds tight, then the video will stay good. So keep our fingers crossed. So far, the little control panel here that YouTube presents to me is basically saying stream is good. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that everything stays up and running. But it's nice to be able to come up and what's kind of cool is the immediately following the show, as soon as I hit basically stop on the stream, it saves the file and puts it up on YouTube as an actual video file. So you guys can see if you go in and watch the episode, it's almost available immediately on YouTube at any time. So you can find my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Geek News. Of course, all the content, all the video and audio content's available via the RSS feeds, as I said a little earlier. But all this would absolutely not be possible without our sponsors over at GoDaddy.com. And I'm going to tell you, we got a great deal for you this month. And this is where it really is easy for you to save money. All you have to do is basically come to the website and click on the GoDaddy promo code link at the bottom. That takes you to geeknewscentral.com /GoDaddy. And when you're over on that page, what that's going to do is that's going to give you access to all of my codes, every code that I have. Now, we've got the $2.49.com going on right now, where you can get basically a new or a transfer.com for the first year for $2.49. And, of course, when you get over to GoDaddy, they got lots of different products and services that you can pick up. Not only that, we've got the 32% off code. That 32% off code is going to save you a huge amount of money on your order at GoDaddy by using the promo code GO32OFF1. Take advantage of this code. I renewed my personal server on this code, and man, woohoo! Nice savings. But you also get a new .com with a free year of private registrations for $4 by using the promo code FREE2. Like I said, lots of codes over at geeknewscentral.com /GoDaddy. Every code there that we've made available, that's been made available to us, we are making available to you. So really take and mix and match, and if you can figure out a way to save money on one order and you have to split your order, do that, because that's the best way to do it. Use the codes as you can and save money, and basically just go through and process and get those big savings. So pick up a domain name, pick up a hosting account, and when you're doing so, save 32% off. Now, sometimes they're going to offer you a better deal on the website, but don't matter. Continue to put my code in at checkout, and basically it's kind of down the middle of the page, near the bottom of where the transaction is, and you'll be able to see promo code. Put that in there, put my promo code in, and GoDaddy will give you the biggest code, but they'll also give me credit for your actual utilization of one of my codes. So just want to switch gears here a little bit and talk just a little bit. Here we are, we're in July, right? We're already, it's in matter of fact, we're after the middle of July. And so it's that time of year where I kind of start thinking about the Consumer Electronics Show. And it's just hard to believe that I'm already starting to think about this. But this year, for CES 2014, we got some hard decisions to make. And we put together a sponsor package. Matter of fact, finishing touches probably will go on it tomorrow. I'll get it all wrapped up with all our last year numbers and additional information. We have to, this year, unequivocally, we have to get a sponsor locked in early, because I have to front so much cash at the very early days of, basically September, October, November. I'm laying out $6,000 here, $2,000 there, $1,000 here, $3,000 for security. So all that stuff has to get locked in, and I'm really at risk personally, because when we go to CES, this is Todd's show, and Todd basically front loads the cash that goes into doing the show, and then when the sponsors come in, I get paid back. And it's completely not a Raw Voice thing. We're there as Tech Podcast, but the risk is on me to make sure that we get the ad deal sold and everything so that we get the revenue coming in. So we have to get the sponsor locked in this year. I just absolutely have to, due to everything that's been going on in the space. Before I commit to going to CES with a full studio, with everything that we're going to have, basically, I've just basically got to get a sponsor locked in the next 60 days. And then basically say, yes, I'm committed. Here's the amount we're committed for, blah, blah, blah. And then we can move forward. Otherwise, if I cannot get a sponsor locked in, I don't feel comfortable this year putting myself at risk financially with the extreme outlay of essentially $12,000 to $15,000 is what basic costs are to cover just our basic expenses. And that's not including hotel rooms and all the other stuff. So if we don't get a sponsor locked in, I think this year there's going to have to be a major shift. And we're going to, does that mean, do we go with a live studio? Maybe not. Maybe it means we stream from the floor only and just basically have a live broadcast on our back and basically do it that way. We're going to go. I'll definitely be going to CES and we'll be covering it and we'll be bringing you great content. But really the dollars have to fall into place. And you guys have to understand this is, as you guys know, this show and everything around it is a large part of my livelihood on a day-to-day basis. So I have to be smart in how I execute things. In recent years, the sponsorships have been a little bit harder. We've grown bigger and had huge numbers, had great coverage, but yet the number of sponsors coming into play and the right amount of dollars haven't been quite where we need to be. So to make it fair, to make sure that our teammates all get a nice check at the end of the show and everything else, we just have to get that in. Now, I normally don't kind of share these types of, I guess for better words, greasy details with you guys. But what I really wanted to just kind of emphasize is that it's just the economic reality. I know that Leo Laporte and Twit, his expenses were like maybe 10 times mine. I think he said he spent like $250,000 to cover CES with the broadcast crew and everything that goes along with it. Now, last year, with the additional cost of the security, which we really didn't anticipate on, that was a $3,000 bill that went on my credit card right, the day of basically the show opening. That was a big hit. That basically, was impactful. And so knowing what we're going to have to do to lay in security and everything else, because we'll probably be back in the same spot that we were, we really have to be smart in doing things the way we are. And, it's not that we don't want to do what we want to do, but we also have to understand we're not a Verge. We're not Gizmodo. We're not Engadget. We're working, really bringing great content. But at the same time, there's a certain amount of realities to it. So the question I think I want to extend to all you guys is, what's the content worth to you? What's the live content and what's the published content worth? Because in all reality, once we come back from CES, then I've got about another $3,000 just to get the content up on Geek News Central with the processing, paying the bloggers, everything that goes around getting the content up on the website. It's about another $3,000. So do we focus strictly on and this is really, I want to hear your guys' feedback. Do we focus on being able to do live? Well, at the same time, or do we just kind of throttle back and do we come back to base, come back to how we've always covered the show in the past and be on the floor and do the coverage and just put it up as we can? Is that going to be an issue with you guys? Obviously, there's going to be other people covering the show. No one covers CES like we do. No one brings on as many guests. And sometimes we get some goofy, we have a few slip through that's, I swear to goodness, if I saw another iPad cover or, if we try to filter those folks best we can. But, 250 some articles this year with all the content. It's just a huge, and it's really 2 months out of my life, 2 hardcore months that I really cannot focus on anything else, but getting the content up and everything else. If the dollars are right, if the sponsorship is right, it makes it well worth it. Makes my whole year it helps financially, but at the same time, we want to go and get the content, but also we have to be fiscally responsible. So I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. Do I need to do a Kickstarter? What do you think is the plan? And I'd love to hear you guys' ideas. Kick and throw them out there. Let me know what you think. And I will definitely take that all on board to the best of my ability. So, and then process that and let you guys know. Okay. So moving on here, don't forget the lower third contest extended to the Monday show. And then we'll have a prize for the person that I picked that sent in the best lower third. And this coming Saturday, we've got the new media show with Chris Jones, publisher and editor-in-chief of Trek.fm. So it should be a great episode talking with Chris. And then what we're going to put up in the new media feed tonight is my appearance on Hawaii Public Radio on Bite Marks Cafe. So I'll have that up. That's going to basically pop the special media feed with a new episodes. There hasn't really been a lot in there for the past couple of months because we haven't had any specials. But I'll get that up. And also I'm going to post separately my Google Glass initial video. And actually, where I'm going to start putting Google Glass videos is in the special media events feed. So keep you advised there. All right, so that's enough on that. I've yacked here quite a while, but I just want to give you guys, we're all family, and I want to just kind of lay it out there where you guys know what's going on. And it's really important. Now, that big announcement that I told you I was going to tell you about, the company hasn't come back yet and said anything about the press release. I think come Monday or Tuesday of next week, we're going to move forward because we're waiting on them to give a comment, and their legal is looking at it. But we've kind of set on this information. I've kind of fed some data to a few people, and I got in the wow factor, and I'm sorry I've had to withhold so long from you guys, but we'll be sharing with you more information on this very, very soon. But again, apologize that I have to kind of be quiet at this point and not spill the beans. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the full stack tonight, the full list of stuff I've gotten. Boy, there's a bunch. There is just a bunch of good stuff and stuff that I could spend a lot of time on, and we're going to do just that on some of these articles. Oh, hey, Max was in from New York. Dude, you're like up in the middle of the night. What are you doing in the chat room? Go to bed. It's not any hour for you to be up unless you're just getting home from work or the bars or something. Okay, so let's go ahead here. Google Glass has gotten a patch to avoid hacks. Google has patched this vulnerability in Google Glass, and the vulnerability discovered by Lookout Security was serious because it could silently be exploited to fully compromise a Glass device simply by leaving a malicious QR code where a Google Glass user might see it. So basically, every time you take a photograph, Glass looks for data it can recognize. The most obvious are QR codes, a type of barcode out that we know that contain everything from instructions to send an SMS or browse a website to configuration information that can change a device. And Google took advantage of this capability, and that's how you basically configure Wi-Fi is with a QR code. So we'll see where this goes, but basically it would allow people to spy on connections that Glass made from web request images uploaded to the cloud. So they basically fixed this very, very quickly. And Google patched the flaw with Glass Update XE6. And so this was basically, we kind of heard about it, but it was publicized today and over on informationweek.com. Article over on Slashdot. In a House hearing Wednesday, NSA admitted that it could query not only a suspect's records, but perform a 3-hop query. Considering that most people in the world are separated by 6 degrees of separation, the NSA essentially claimed that any single suspect gives them the rights to investigate a large chunk of the world population, with terror watch lists having over 700,000 names. Wow. It's an interesting thing. 6 degrees of separation. And interesting basically disclaimer in this House hearing. Another article over on Slashdot. PayPal credits man with 92 quadrillion. Yes, that's 92 233 720 368 547 $800 balance. He says, I was feeling like $1 million logged in and saw that 92 quadrillion. See, that's a million. That's a billion. That's a trillion. So 92 billion, 233 trillion, 720 billion, 368,547,800. I think I said that right. But you can pay off a few world debts that way, right? So anyway, I wonder where that bug. I think that's a little more than a rounding error to date. ICANN, they've approved the first set of new GLTDs, and we've been waiting for this. So the proof first set is surprisingly are all for non-English, including web in Arabic, game in Chinese, online in Russian, and website in Russian as well. Approval of 4 non-English words can be considered a milestone and has approval marks. So this is kind of cool. And I was looking at them, and they're written in Arabic, and written in Chinese and in Russian Cyrillic. So you definitely are very language specific, but a lot more .com news here. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. But on a more of a comedy side, there's just absolutely fantastic write-up over on TechDirt about Judge Wright, who has denied John Steele's motion, basically saying any problem is Steele's own fault, directs him to a legal clinic. So basically, Steele had asked for an instant motion for reconsideration, and the judge basically has said, no way. And even more incredible, the judge says he does not assert a proper legal basis for reconsideration. Steele cites no law in his motion, and during the hearing, Steele claimed that his basis for reconsideration was his Fifth Amendment right to due process. Exactly how this translates to a legal basis for reconsideration, anyone guess. Steele's motion offers nothing new for the court to consider. He uses it only as a vehicle to rehash his earlier rejected arguments. And basically what it was is he'd been subpoenaed, and guess what? He basically, in some of the forms he had filled out with the court, he put his address, home address, incorrectly on the documents 4 times. You wonder if he's trying to hide his home address? So the judge blast him. So here's the more incredible part. They're sanctioning Prenda Moore. The court hereby sanctions each of the following persons or entities $500 per day per person or entity retroactive to July 16th. John Steele, Paul Duffy, Paul Hansmeyer, Ingenuity 13 LLC, AF Holding LLC, and Prenda Law Incorporated. This sanction must be paid to the clerk of the court. At the same time, the cash, and basically they couldn't get a bond, so they had to put a cashier's check up to the clerk of the court. At the same time, the cashier check is deposited. Thus, if Prenda's parties deposit the cashier's checks on Friday, July 19th, then they must also pay a sanction of $12,000 to the clerk of the court. If they deposit the check on Monday, June 22nd, the sanction rises to $21,000. Now, here's the interesting part. Now, John Steele, does not claim to know any of these other people, but yet the reconsideration document that he filed was formatted exactly the same for the other parties. So, Prenda, keep digging and digging and digging. This is not going to end well for you and hasn't already. But can you, any of you think about it? Think about a judge sanctioning you $500 per day. I don't care who you are, unless you're a billionaire. That's going to get your attention in a hurry, and so we'll see. But boy, oh boy, and the saga continues. And boy, I tell you, it doesn't just make you feel good when, in my opinion, these I'm not even gonna say the word I want to say. Just really, the judges really put it to them, and I think it's fantastic. And again, opinions are my own on Prenda, but it's nice to see, in my opinion, what Judge Wright has done. All right, New Jersey Supreme Court says police need a warrant to obtain cell phone location data. The New Jersey Supreme Court joins a handful of other courts in deciding that law enforcement agencies need a warrant in order to obtain cell phone tracking data. This case goes back to 2006, dealing with 3 warrantless location requests placed by police to T-Mobile. Those traces were used to track down a suspected burglar. Once on trial, the defendant moved to suppress, which the court agreed with, stating he had reasonable expectation of privacy in terms of his cell phone data. However, the evidence was still allowed under an emergency aid exception. On appeal, the court allowed him to reopen his challenge of the suppression ruling, but its decision aligned itself with many others, stating he did not have a reasonable expectation of privacy for information in plain view. So, but basically, this is pretty specific ruling here. That the court had found that Article 1, Paragraph 7 of the New Jersey Constitution provides greater protection against unreasonable search and seizures than the Fourth Amendment. When people make disclosures to phone companies and other providers to use their services, they're not promoting the release of personal information to others. Instead, they can reasonably expect that their personal information will remain private, at least with local police departments. Whether or not that's the case for the Fed, we will never probably know. Okay, Homeland Security has threatened legal action against their employees who read news about leaks. Yes, the latest is that Homeland Security sent around a memo warning employees that merely opening a Washington Post article about some of the leaks might violate their non-disclosure agreement to protect national security information. It even says that merely clicking on the story might make the reader subject to any administrative or legal action from the government. So do you have that? So if you work for the government and merely reading the news about things the government is doing might subject you to legal action over at Homeland Security. And we've kind of talked about this in the past a little bit, right? Especially these types of documents that are being out. And, you know, basically I told you about my stance and not reading any of the documents. And it's kind of interesting that they also say that you just can't read the news. So it's kind of hard to avoid that, especially considering that Representative Garrison displayed the very same slides that the Department of Homeland Security is warning its employee about in Congress itself. He offered up an amendment to the Defense Appropriation Bill, stating that nothing in the Defense Appropriation should be used to block employees from reading the news on their own time. I don't know if that's going to have any merit, but very interesting. Now, this is going to rock your world. You guys should listen to this. This will make you go, wow. Okay, now we know judges are supposed to be impartial, right? They're supposed to follow the letter of the law. And when they come down and there is basically a appeal to a lower court's ruling, to a single judge ruling, goes to a higher court in either a 3-judge panel or 11-judge panel, or how many people sit in on that those arguments. And when that vote is taken and when the ruling is issued, basically there are going to be judges that will dissent. But what's incredible here, back in April, Arrow, when its appeal, remember Arrow, they said that Arrow's a system allows people to watch broadcast TV over the internet via an individual antenna. Now, each customer gets its own antenna, even though it may be located across town. It's now hooked to your house. So this Judge Denny Chin, has a little bit of history. Now, Arrow won this. They won the lower court agreement. They won the appeal court agreement. So they've won twice, right? So Judge Denny Chin, who has a bit of history siding with the TV guys against upstart invaders, is pretty upset about this. Chin was a dissenting judge in the original ruling on Arrow, and he's also the judge who ruled against Ivy. It's a startup that tried to do something somewhat similar through Arrow, but through a different means. Also, before Chin was on the appeals court as a district court judge, he made the original ruling in the Cablevision DVR case, which sided with Cablevision. So, in other words, every time some kind of issue comes up, Chin sides with Judge Chin sides with the broadcasters against the innovators. Chin's dissent from the decision to reject this hearing is quite incredible. He basically wrote something, but he basically said Arrow's reliance on Cablevision is misplaced because, in my view, Cablevision was wrongly decided. And yet, he was the judge that decided Cablevision. This was in his written dissent. That's a startling admission. He's the judge that set the precedents. And he's saying you can't rely on the precedent because he doesn't agree with the precedent. But he made the precedent. Most of his dissent is basically a carbon copy of the network's argument. This guy. Where's is there some sort of relationship here? Some sort of, is the question you have to start, if there's smoke, there's fire, right? You got to kind of look at this and go, and you scratch your chin a little bit. You want your cake and eat it too, right? So on one hand, he's willing to let Cablevision win their DVR thing. On the other hand, he's very upset that Arrow gets their ruling. And then he wants to basically invalidate the Arrow ruling because of the ruling he made for Cablevision. You can't have one without the other, right? Precedent was already set. He does not get to ignore the ruling because he doesn't like it. It's a pretty incredible mission by him. And it just makes you think, judges are supposed to be impartial, right? Supposed to be. They're supposed to follow the letter of the law and not legislate from the bench, which so many do these days. Wild, it really is. Now, MIT, on the other hand, they've moved to intervene. Now, obviously, I'm switching topics on you. You guys know how I just flip on you? MIT has basically moved to intervene in the release of the Aaron Swartz Secret Service files. MIT does not want these to be released. They want them to basically be redacted and not made available. So basically, lawyers are filing a motion to intervene in the Freedom of Information lawsuit over 1,000 pages of the Secret Service documents about the late activist and coder Aaron Swartz. MIT claims it's afraid the release of the Swartz file will identify the names of MIT people who helped the Secret Service and federal prosecutors pursue felony charges against Swartz for his bulk downloading of academic articles on MIT's network in 2011. MIT argues those people might face threats and harassment if their names become public, but it's worth noting that names of third parties are already redacted from documents produced under a Freedom of Information Act. So this is interesting here because in 15 years of reporting, folks have never seen a non-government party argue for the right to interfere with a Freedom of Information Act release. So basically, this is an academic institution that's opposing the release of a Freedom of Information Act. And according to this article on Wired, in 15 years of reporting, they've never seen this happen. So they're going to go to court and oppose MIT being granted any right to redact the documents. So we'll see what this happens. But as it will continue to delay the 7-month request for information on what the Secret Service had. All right, I want to show you this cool picture. For those of you that are listening, you can't see this, but this thing is incredible. Let's see if I can blow this up. Let me describe what it is. I spent, oh, come on. Give me the Give me the full image. This is a courtesy of, why am I in a loop here? Yuga Karita. She lives in, or he lives in Shinjuku, Tokyo. And it's not letting me load the actual photo. Come on, Google. All right, I'll give you what I can. So what it is, it's a picture of Mount Fuji. And in the background is the Milky Way. And it really is an incredible picture. It really is. And that's basically going on my desktop for a while. So this was over at universetoday.com, but looks like a galactic volcano with the Milky Way spewing above, climbers with flashlights appearing like lava. And again, if you've never watched, if you go to Japan, you got to climb Mount Fuji. You just got to do it. You got to go. That's a one-day deal. You have to do it, and make sure you buy the. I don't know. There's a word for it, but there's a walking stick. You get notches and stamps and stuff. It's really fun, and it's a good day. It's beautiful when you get to the top. I did it in the fall before the snow came on. And it's a great time. So if you get a chance to climb Mount Fuji, please do. And it's the same as coming here to Hawaii and climbing Diamond Head. And as crazy as it may sound, climb Diamond Head. Get out of the hotel early. 4:30, 4:45. Go to Diamond Head. Get in. Climb to the top of Diamond Head. Watch the sunrise. It's an incredible sight. We've been doing it the last 2 years for New Year's. And Diamond Head here in Hawaii in the very early morning hours is just an incredible view of the basically of a sunrise. Okay, House Committee passes $16.6 billion NASA budget. The Senate has an $18 billion budget. The basically the administration requested $17.7 billion. So there's going to find somewhere in the middle there. With all these cuts going on, that they're probably not going to get as much as they wanted. A water leak in a spacesuit has cut short a spacewalk. A dangerous buildup of water in an Italian astronaut spacesuit forced NASA to end a spacewalk outside the ISS just over an hour and a half after it started. Christopher Caddy and Luca Parmitano started the spacewalk, the second in as many weeks, with plans to spend 6 hours performing some maintenance work outside the station. And basically, they started feeling water build up inside his helmet. And they basically cut the spacewalk and brought him back inside. They don't know why there was a water leak, but they're going to try to figure out what's going on. Are you a VIP? Imagine you walk into a store, and within about a minute, you have someone tagging along, asking you if they can help you. There's new software that's been developed by NEC. Now, this software can identify celebrities and other glam customers in real time, sending an alert to retail or hospitality staff that someone is in immediate need of basically taken care of. This will be very used, I'm sure, very much in Vegas. I know in Vegas they have people that watch the door. And if a celebrity walks in or one of their big time spenders, they have basically books of people to be on the lookout for. But I imagine this is going to be starting to be used in boutiques and a variety of different places. But this company's VIP identification software monitors data from real-time closed-circuit TV or surveillance cameras, matching images against business VIP guest database, and if it spots a match, alert, mobile, or otherwise, can be sent to the retail or hospitality personnel. The matching process can take less than a second, meaning that someone like Donald Trump will barely have a chance to get past the store's entranceway before someone is basically there to dot his nose and carry his bags. So I'm sure that the majority of us will never end up in that type of basically having our Ocolis wiped. But who knows? Amazon has scored a victory against Pinterest over control of .pin. So Pinterest loses its fight to keep Amazon from controlling the new top-level domain .pin. Why are they going to use it? Who knows? But Amazon wants .movie, .video, .shop, .mobile, .joy, .like, .bind, .silk, .drive, .amazon, .kindle. Oh, .amazon? They didn't get it. The Amazon, basically, there was a protest made, and it will likely go to South America. Yeah. So .call, .mail, .now, .circle, .jot, .imdb, .tushu, .book, .cloud, .bot, .coupon, .pay. Those are all the ones that's just a handful of the ones that that the folks at Amazon wants. Okay, so boom, 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 boom. All right, let me move on here. And next article up. Samsung said to be near a deal to supply devices to the FBI/Navy. Formerly the territory of BlackBerry, the contract would be Samsung's first U.S. government deal since winning Pentagon security approval early this year. So the South Korean electric giant is negotiating a large deal for its devices with the FBI and smaller one now with the Navy. People familiar with the matter tell the Wall Street Journal with the deal, Samsung is going after a business long dominated by BlackBerry, which is true. Back in the day when I was active duty, the few folks that actually could get phones all had BlackBerry/Crackberries. All right, data requests by UK authorities rose in 2012. UK authorities increased the number of requests they made about public use of text, emails, and other communication data last year. An official report has been revealed. It is said that more than 570,000 demands were made in 2012. The report also revealed that mistakes were made while using the information led to 6 members of the public being wrongly detained or accused of a crime. It also was further evidence that police visited the wrong address while looking for a child who had threatened to harm themselves. But the document noted that authorities might make several requests in the course of a single investigation, so the headline figures do not equate to the number of individuals or addresses targeted. So that's an interesting statistic out of the UK for those of you that are our UK listeners. There's a new business out now. It's called Virtual Valets, and basically they help you look good online. They help you with everything from gaming to being social media, to tweeting for you, to helping with your image, and a whole bunch of variety of services, all to make you look more popular online. And people can get pretty crazy. They can spend a lot of money and basically making themselves look more socially active. Average services of different varieties can cost as much as $5,000, with some services starting around $500. So if you're looking to really increase your profile, all you got to do is get your credit card out, hire these companies, and they will help you in a big way. Switching gears here completely, Google is basically struggling with mobile. And this is part of, we'll talk about their earnings here in a little while. But for more than a year, Google has been struggling to solve basically the mobile riddle and the mobile ad riddle. And basically, this seems to be unsolved based upon their financial reports that was revealed today. Google's second quarter results missed analysts' expectations for revenues and profits, and they show that its desktop search business continues to slow and ad prices continue to fall as a struggle to make as much money on mobile devices. So that's an interesting move here. But anyway, the call will be tomorrow. I'll give you the actual raw numbers near the end of the show. San Jose University is suspending a highly touted collaboration with online provider Udacity to offer low cost for credit online courses after finding that more than half of the students failed to pass the class. Preliminary results from a spring pilot project found student pass rates 20 to 40% in remedial math, college-eligible algebra, and elementary statistic courses, and what is support in a somewhat more promising outcome, 83% of the students completed the classes. Now, here's what I'm going to just tell you guys straight up. If you are not strong in math or stats or anything like that, you probably need to go to the classroom, because I had one heck of a time keeping my head above water on classes I paid nearly $1,000 for to pass, some of those low-level 100 and 200 classes that were strictly math-based. But each of the classes were only $150, so people probably were saying, hey, I'll see what happens. I'll see if I can pass this and save money. But this is bad news, and that they're suspending these online courses. I think they need to if they're going to do this, there needs to be some sort of expectation and, basically setting it up and making sure students qualify before they go into the class. All right, Apple's TV deals like the Time Warner Pact is basically a fail. Apple is a grand dream, we know, for its Apple TV, which is a web-connected device, and I got a couple of them here in the house. But basically, they're just doing nothing more than what's like on the HBO app. They're going to have a Time Warner app that you have to validate through your cable connection. You can't get it separate. So, once again, what's the use? Just if you have HBO, just turn on HBO on the television. You get the app, on the Roku. I just don't it's going to be very hard for Apple, Google, everyone else is trying to break these companies out and get this content pulled away from the cable box. It's the cash cow that keeps feeding a multi-billion-dollar industry, folks. It's not going to happen until all of you cut the doggone cord, including me. So, it's just time. It's just going to take time. Fonts. You guys pay attention to fonts. Are you looking for new fonts? There's a great article on GigaOM. Basically talks about some folks have created some new fonts. Specifically a company called H&FJ, who's got some new fonts out. I look at stuff and, I don't know if it makes that big of a difference, but I guess fonts are still big, and there's 1,000 different fonts, and I just don't know how how do you figure out, what works and what doesn't. But if you're into typography, this is a great article for you, and I know Brian, my creative director, will be interested in this as well. How many of you can read your cable bill? Many of you probably get your cable bill and just want to scream, right? Because it's so high. I know I do mine. Well, apparently Time Warner is sending a little email along with your digital bill now, and they're providing a video. And they're basically showing you a 2-minute video to some jaunty music with basically a cheerful male narrator who helps you demystify your bill. So they talk about these changes are billed based on the date range of your billing period. When it gets to taxes and fees, a section that would actually be useful to have explained. The only explanation is, and here are your taxes and fees. So they don't, it's kind of limited. So you have to be an idiot not to be able to understand your cable bill. But at the same time, I don't think you need a video of them trying to cheerfully talk about your bill in the different sections. A lot of health tech going on. As a matter of fact, I've been a little bit behind. Let me bring up I got my Fitbit. I washed my Fitbit, by the way. Went through the wash and repair jeans. Still works. So that tells you that if you get a Fitbit, they will go through the wash and dryer. My son heard it clanking around in the dryer and opened it up before it got too hot. But it works just fine. Was looking for it for 3 or 4 days after it showed up in the wash, but I've got to get it synced with my cell phone because it still shows a time from when I was traveling. So it tells you how long. Probably I've overwritten data on it already. I don't know, but anyway, for those of you that have been following my Fitbit thing, it's pretty lame lately. So I'll get back into it. But Apple's suddenly really interested in health tech. We know that Apple CEO Tim Cook loves his Nike Fuel Band, and the fitness tracking wristband seems to be inspiring how the company is thinking about its own wearable devices. And it's hired several experts in health tech. So this is pretty exciting, and we'll see where this goes, and maybe Apple can revolutionize this field as well. Another article over on GigaOM, tech group, investors, and activists join forces to press the government on surveillance. they can press all they want. They can be an alliance of influential tech companies, and they can be civil liberty groups. But I can almost guarantee you that there's not going to be very much transparency coming out of the government on what it collects on people. I just don't see it happening. There has to be a complete mind shift, and based on the way things are, I very much doubt that we'll see any change. All those companies, are basically also hand-tied by, whatever actions they've been ordered to undertake in the past, and there's not a lot they can say about it. And they're feeling the heat because all of us, consumers are starting to ask, "What are you collecting on me?" And so what's going on there is that they can't say, and they can't come out with full disclosure because they're not allowed. So how would you like to be able to basically score yourself about 100,000 tankers of gold? But there's a great article talking about all the gold on Earth comes from massive space explosions. And I'll have to admit, this is a pretty good read. And it talks about what's happening, what scientists have figured out recently, and some of the observations it's been making, and talking about how neutron stars are basically the catalyst, and then blowing up are the catalyst for all the gold that we have here on Earth and throughout space. So it's very, very cool. I'll have the link up in the show notes for you to check that out. And but everything you really want to know about gold and more, and how it's basically they've kind of figured out how it's created. So that piece of gold that you may be wearing around and actually my wedding ring, which sits right here, which I have a hard time wearing now because my finger size has gotten too big. We've got to get our rings. Both my wife and I have to get our rings resized. That gold has had a pretty hard, rough road to end up in your palm. Many, many billions of years to get into the form it's at. So anyway, if you think about that, you're going to go, wow. All right, Microsoft had $900 million last quarter in unsold Surface RT tablets, which might explain the $150 price drop. So we'll see what happens on the earnings call. That's huge. Also, in more news on the actual financial stuff, Google rakes in over $14 billion in revenue during Q2, increased average balance growing, and they have growing Motorola Moto losses. So, but anyway, $14 billion in revenue. What was their profit? $12.1 billion of its gross was thanks to advertising. Motorola's efforts equate to less than $1 billion, but the $998 million it pulled in is not insequential. So I guess they had about $1 billion in profit. So they actually pocketed that much, or is that no? $3.23 billion is what they pocketed. Okay, so anyway, a little bit confusing there. So I guess they did okay. No, it was only 998. Wait a minute, what are they saying? Screw it. Anyway, they had a good quarter. But Microsoft, going back to them, they had a $19.9 billion in revenue, $6.07 billion operating income, and $4.97 billion in net income. Quite a lot of this happened since the output showed at $6.06 billion in profit loss last quarter. $6.06 billion in profit last quarter. So, they had the CFO step down. Xbox One was introduced. Whole bunch of stuff here, but anyway, interesting numbers coming out of Microsoft, and the 990 some, what is it? Almost $1 billion write down because of tablets. It's the Surface RT is crazy. Now AMD showed an earnings net loss of $74 million. Expects a return to profitability next quarter. So that's an interesting move, but a lot of money being lost. And gained on a variety of different companies. Jeffrey Powers, he got his Google Glass. He's had a little struggle with it. Part of the touchpad went bad for a little bit. Had to get a replacement. But he wrote up a good article on Geek News Central. He says it's time for dual band Bluetooth. What did I say? Bluetooth. It's time for dual band Bluetooth. and he's got some good insights on glass and some of the things he's experienced with it and staying connected via the Bluetooth connection. So have that link up in the show notes. You can check it out. But he thinks we're way overdue to get a dual band Bluetooth. Over on the Gadget Professor, Mr. Don Bain did a great article today. Great show today. He talked about TrendNet, an 8-port unmanaged gigabit green net standard switch. So it goes into that quite a bit. So definitely check out the Gadget Professor and his show here at Geek News Central. Talked with Mr. Don Bain here just a few days ago, and he's doing well. They've been spending some time out on the East Coast at his second home, so they've been doing well. All right, Telenav Scout adds real-time user report traffic data to iOS and Android apps. So Telenav has been steadily improving Scout, its personalized navigation platform, ever since its introduction. Today, Scout users will finally get the crowdsourced traffic info they were promised back in April. So Scout for both iOS and Android now provides you with the wisdom of its 100 million users and traffic patterns, and allows you to see which roads are congested and calculates up to 3 possible routes. That's all we have here in Hawaii is 3 routes, and guaranteed all 3 of them are going to be packed if the roads are jammed up. So anyway, if you've got that, that's available now. 2013 MacBook Air update has been fixing flickering screen and Wi-Fi. It's available now. So if you've got a MacBook Air that you bought mid-2003, software update is available. And finally, congratulations to Netflix for snagging 14 primetime Emmy nominations, mostly for the House of Cards. So congratulations to them. You know, I have not watched that series. I guess I'm going to have to queue it up and watch it, but I had not watched the House of Cards series at all, and probably should do so. Everyone was raving about it, just haven't had time to do so. Okay, let me go ahead and get into email that's come in. Let me look at the date today. Today is the 18th of July. The last show was on the 15th. If I load that, not a lot of email. Just a few from people that really didn't want me to read them on the air. So thanks for your feedback, folks. Appreciate it. And I guess we're going to get this thing wrapped up and get it in the can here for you. But as always, we want to thank you for your support. I want to encourage you to become an insider. Our insider program helps me a lot, and ultimately, the insider program will replace our standard 2 advertiser spots in the show. So we want you to become an insider. This is a great month to become an insider, largely because we've got one sponsor this month. So as an insider, you get insights into things that I'm looking at more deeply on a periodic basis. You get early exposure like we did with the Google Glass video before we expose it to the rest of the audience. And I'm going to be stepping up the beat here a little bit. So those of you that are insiders, you're going to get a little more stuff on a regular basis. One thing that we've done is we've set up basically a news feed. And basically it's a same type of way the newsletter comes to you if you're subscribed to the show notes newsletter. The insider folks are going to get separate mailings as well that way, and real easy for it to be managed and add people and so forth. But consider becoming insider by going to geeknewscentral.com/insider. We hope that you'll sign up to $5, $10, $15, $20, or $25 a month. Even on the $2 plan, it's like 6 cents or something like that a day. So we hope that you can spare a couple of dollars and some change. A dime a day for the geek here would be most appreciated. We'd like it when you donate dollars a day, but we know most people can't do that. But I want to thank you. Hope you've enjoyed the show. We provide added value here for you twice a week. And, of course, we've got the new media show this coming Saturday. Got a great guest again. We're going to have Chris Jones, publisher and editor-in-chief of Trek.fm. So for those of you that follow that website, you're going to want to tune in and hear what Chris has to say. And again, I'll have the Hawaii Public Radio Bytemarks Cafe interview that I was involved in earlier this week. I've got the audio file for that. I'll have that linked up in the show notes for you to check out. But until then, everyone, thanks for being here. We want to thank you so much. geeknews@gmail.com is the email address. And, of course, you can tweet me at Geek News. Don't forget our hotline is available at 619-342-7365. Available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For those of you who've been watching us on YouTube today, thanks for being here. We hope you enjoyed the stream. I noticed we had some people come in and out during the show, so we appreciate you bouncing in. But we're going to basically call it a show. Everyone, thanks for being here again. My name is Todd Cochran. It's been my pleasure bringing the show. We see you next time. Aloha. All right, for those of you on YouTube, takes me just a few minutes to get the other recordings stopped. All right, so I want to thank all of you that were watching on YouTube. There was people that popped in and out throughout the show. And let's see how we did tonight before we close this out. Let's one more click. Too many computers and not enough monitors. And we'll bring this up. Well, not bad. Not bad watching tonight. Hey, everyone. See you on YouTube. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.